The jungle was alive, humming with a low, electric energy. Luminescent vines draped like curtains from towering obsidian trees, their tendrils pulsing faintly in sync with the heartbeat of the planet. Alex stumbled through the underbrush, boots crunching on crystalline shards littering the forest floor. Every sound felt amplified, alien bird calls echoing like alarms, the distant groan of tectonic plates shifting beneath the surface. The air was dense, pressing against their lungs with an unnatural weight. 16 years old, and already an accidental explorer. It wasn't how Alex envisioned their first solo voyage. Their ship, a small, rusted cargo hauler, had been swallowed by an unexpected gravity storm, ripping through the atmosphere like a fireball. Now they were stranded, armed with little more than a malfunctioning survival beacon, a dull multi-tool, and an uncanny knack for staying alive. Alex froze mid-step, breath hitching. Ahead, the jungle parted into a clearing, but the sight waiting there was no relief. Two colossal figures faced each other, their tension palpable even from a distance. On the left stood the alien queen. Zifra's form was mesmerizing, a towering, insectoid figure with chitinous plates that shimmered in iridescent hues. Her elongated limbs ended in razor-sharp claws, but her posture radiated regality rather than aggression. Her antennae twitched subtly, as though sensing the emotions in the air. Her glowing eyes pulsed faintly, communicating something Alex could not decipher. Opposite her, the dragon loomed. Velok's bulk made the ground tremble with every slight movement. His obsidian scales shimmered like molten glass, his massive wings folded tightly against his back. His eyes, molten gold, blazed with the fury of a sun about to collapse. When he spoke, his voice rumbled through the earth, the syllables guttural and ancient, each one a challenge etched into existence. Alex crouched low, heart pounding. They had stumbled upon a negotiation, or a battlefield. Yield, Zifra, Velok growled, smoke curling from his nostrils. This planet's core belongs to my kind. Your whispers have no place in its depths. Zifra tilted her head, her voice a melodic, telepathic resonance that seemed to brush against Alex's mind. Velok, your kind's dominance is an illusion. The core's energies respond to precision, not brute force. We have coexisted until now. Must we destroy one another for control? The dragon's laughter was a deep, bone-rattling quake. Coexist? Your brood siphons power without restraint, weakening the foundations of this world. No more. Alex didn't understand the full context of their argument, but it was clear this was no ordinary dispute. The planet's core, the source of its peculiar energy, was vital to both species. Its destabilization would mean chaos, not just for them, but for anyone caught in the aftermath. Then, without warning, Zifra stepped forward, her antennae trembling. If words cannot sway you, perhaps clarity will. She extended a clawed hand, her psychic aura radiating like a tangible wave. The air between her and Velok shimmered, charged with unspoken energy. Alex watched in awe and dread as Zifra leaned in closer to Velok. Her lips parted, emitting a faint whisper, a soundless hum that seemed to resonate directly within Alex's skull. The dragon stiffened, his blazing eyes widening in surprise. But something went wrong. Velok staggered back, his claws tearing into the earth. His wings flared open, unsteady, and a guttural roar erupted from his throat. His molten scales flickered, their glow dimming to ash. He collapsed with a thunderous crash, the forest floor quaking beneath his weight. Alex's breath caught. Was he dead? Zifra reeled, her composure fracturing for the first time. She stepped back, her antennae twitching erratically. This was not intended. Her voice trembled, more to herself than to anyone else. The dragon's loyalists, scattered at the edge of the clearing, erupted into chaos. Their roars filled the air, their glowing forms darting toward the scene. Zifra's brood hissed in unison, forming a protective barrier around their queen. For a moment, Alex considered retreating. This wasn't their fight. They were just a stranded human, unarmed and fragile. Yet, something about Zifra's reaction stopped them. The guilt etched in her posture, the faint flicker of sorrow in her glowing eyes. It felt real, uncalculated, summoning every ounce of courage, Alex stepped forward into the clearing. The roar of the dragon's followers died down as they noticed the small figure emerging from the shadows. The alien queen's brood shifted uneasily, their sharp appendages clicking against one another in a symphony of warning. Zifra turned her glowing gaze toward Alex, surprise flashing across her alien features. A human? Here? Alex's voice wavered, but they forced themselves to speak. I saw what happened. It was an accident, wasn't it? Velox's followers growled low, their collective rage radiating like heat. One of them, a crimson-scaled beast with jagged wings, stepped forward, towering over Alex. You dare interfere, humans? Alex swallowed hard but didn't back down. Listen to me. I don't know everything, but I saw her. She didn't mean to kill him. They glanced at Zifra, then back at the furious crowd. We can figure this out without more bloodshed. The dragon's followers snarled, but Zifra raised a hand, silencing the brewing storm. Her glowing eyes narrowed, studying Alex. Your presence here is unexpected, she murmured, but your bravery is noted. A tense silence fell over the clearing. The dragon's rage simmered, barely contained. Zifra's brood shifted uneasily, their queen's authority unspoken yet fragile. Alex felt the weight of the moment pressing down on them. They didn't know why they had spoken up, only that they couldn't stand by and watch the fragile balance shatter further. Zifra straightened, regaining a fragment of her composure. Human, she said, her voice resonating like the hum of distant stars. If you believe you can aid in preventing further catastrophe, then step forward. But know this, your kind's fragility may not withstand the trials ahead. Alex took a deep breath and stepped closer, the electric tension of the clearing tightening like a noose. Whatever came next, they were already in too deep to turn back. The clearing was still, the only sound the faint hum of energy that seemed to resonate from the very ground. Alex stood between the two species, a fragile thread holding back the storm of conflict. The weight of their decision pressed against them, but they pushed it aside. There was something here, a deeper truth beneath the chaos, that they needed to uncover. The alien queen, Zifra, moved first, her luminous eyes focused on Alex, her psychic presence brushing against their thoughts like a feather. Human, she said, her voice both musical and alien, you speak of understanding. Then act as witness. Help us unearth what has occurred here. Alex nodded, their throat dry. I'll try, but I need your help. Both of you. The dragon's leaderless contingent hissed and growled in the background, their molten eyes fixed on the human and the queen. Alex ignored them, stepping toward Velox's massive, motionless form. Even in death, the dragon radiated a kind of primal power. His obsidian scales glimmered faintly in the dim light, but the warmth that once animated him had faded into stillness. I need to see what happened to him, Alex said, kneeling beside the body. Zifra hesitated, her antennae twitching. You dare approach his remains? If we don't understand this, more of you will die. Alex shot back, their voice steady despite the fear crawling up their spine. Do you want that? The queen regarded Alex with a flicker of curiosity before stepping closer. Very well. Proceed. Alex reached for the multi-tool strapped to their belt and carefully pried at one of Velox's scales, revealing the dense, sinewy tissue beneath. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen. A fusion of organic matter and what looked like crystalline filaments, shimmering faintly in the light. What is this? Alex muttered, more to themselves than anyone else. A resonance node, Zifra said, her voice soft. A natural amplifier for the energy of this planet. It is unique to Velox's kind. Alex's stomach tightened. Then your whisper, your psychic energy, must have interacted with it somehow. Zifra's glow dimmed slightly, a faint pulse of regret passing through her aura. I did not anticipate this. Our whispers are designed for precision, to communicate thoughts without words. I sought only to share clarity, not to harm. Alex examined the node more closely, noticing faint cracks, spiderwebbing through its crystalline structure. The realization hit them like a punch to the gut. Your whisper didn't just communicate, it overloaded this. It's like an electrical surge in a system that couldn't handle it. One of the dragons snarled, stepping forward with claws scraping against the ground. Lies, he roared, his molten eyes blazing. The queen knew what she was doing. This was no accident. Zifra's brood hissed in unison, their sharp appendages clattering. Alex raised their hands, trying to calm both sides. Wait, this doesn't help anyone. If we don't figure out why this happened, it'll keep happening. None of you are safe if we don't understand it. The dragon's follower hesitated, his gaze darting between Alex and Zifra. Finally, he stepped back with a low growl, though his fury simmered just beneath the surface. Alex turned back to Zifra. This planet, it's not like Earth. It's alive in ways we don't fully understand. If your kind has coexisted for so long, maybe the core's energy has grown unstable. Maybe your whispers and their resonance nodes are reacting to something new. Zifra tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing. You believe the planet itself may be a catalyst? It's possible, Alex replied. I mean, think about it. Your species relies on precision, and there's on brute strength. If the planet's energy is shifting, it could be amplifying both to dangerous levels. The queen's antennae quivered as she processed Alex's words. Then the conflict between our species is not the cause, but the consequence of something greater. Alex nodded. Exactly. But we won't know for sure unless we investigate further. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Zifra straightened, her regal composure returning. Very well. I will accompany you, human, to seek this truth. But understand, my people's patience is not infinite. Alex glanced at the dragons, their hostile gazes burning holes through the clearing. We'll need them too, they said quietly. Zifra's glow flickered in what might have been annoyance. Do not overestimate your influence, human. I'm not, Alex replied. But if we don't work together, this will end in war. And no one will survive that. The queen hesitated before finally nodding. Very well. But if they betray us, it will be on your conscience. Alex turned to the dragons, steeling themselves. I need your help, they said, their voice steady despite the danger. Velok's death wasn't intentional. It was a reaction, something bigger than any of us. If you want justice for him, you need to help us figure out what's happening. The dragons murmured among themselves, their guttural voices like the rumble of distant thunder. Finally, the crimson-scaled leader stepped forward, his molten eyes fixed on Alex. We will follow for now. But if this is a trick, human, there will be no corner of this world where you can hide. Alex swallowed hard but nodded. Understood? As the two factions reluctantly fell into step, Alex felt the weight of the moment pressing down on them. They were walking a razor's edge, one misstep away from total annihilation. But for the first time since crashing on this alien world, they felt a glimmer of hope. The group moved deeper into the jungle, the bioluminescent glow intensifying as they approached the planet's core. The air grew heavier, charged with a strange, electric energy that seemed to pulse in time with the ground beneath their feet. Zifra walked beside Alex, her psychic presence brushing against their mind like a faint breeze. You are an enigma, human, she said softly. Your kind is fragile, yet you stand against forces far greater than yourself. Alex glanced at her, a faint smile tugging at their lips. Guess we're stubborn like that. The queen's glow flickered in what might have been amusement, but her gaze remained thoughtful. Perhaps that stubbornness will be our salvation, or our undoing. Ahead, the forest parted, revealing a massive chasm that seemed to pulse with light. The core's energy was visible now, a swirling vortex of color and motion that defied comprehension. Alex stared at it, awe and dread warring within them. Whatever was happening here, it was bigger than any of them had imagined, and it was only the beginning. The chasm pulsed with light, each surge illuminating the raw power of the planet's core. Alex stood on the edge, their breath caught in their throat. The vortex wasn't just energy, it was alive, writhing and shifting as though aware of their presence. The air around them crackled, heavy with an otherworldly force that seemed to press against their very existence. This is it, Alex murmured. The heart of the planet. Zifra stepped forward, her antennae quivering as she reached out with her psychic aura. The energy here is unstable. It resonates with a frequency unlike anything I have encountered. Her glowing eyes narrowed, her posture stiffening. It is aware. Behind them, the dragons growled uneasily. The crimson-scaled leader snarled, his molten gaze fixed on the swirling vortex. This is why we claimed this planet. Its power is a lifeblood to my kind. If it falters, we falter. Alex turned to face the group, their voice steady despite the chaos brewing around them. Then this isn't just about territory or dominance. If the core collapses, it'll destroy everything. Your species, Zifra's brood, even the planet itself. The factions exchanged uneasy glances, the tension between them thick as smoke. Alex knew they were balancing on the edge of a knife. If they didn't act quickly, the fragile alliance would shatter. What do we do, human? Zifra asked, her voice calm but tinged with urgency. Alex studied the core, their mind racing. We need to stabilize it. If it's reacting to both of your species' energies, then we have to neutralize that reaction. The dragon leader growled, his claws scraping against the ground. And how do you propose we do that, human? Our kind cannot simply sever our connection to this place. Neither can mine, Zifra added, her gaze fixed on the swirling energy. Our existence is intertwined with the planet's resonance. Alex's stomach twisted, but they forced themselves to think. The multi-tool in their hand felt pitifully small against the scale of the challenge. Maybe it's not about severing the connection, they said slowly. Maybe it's about finding balance. You've been fighting over the core's energy, pulling it in opposite directions. What if you work together instead? The dragon leader's laugh was a low, rumbling snarl. You expect us to trust her kind? Their whispers are poison, and your brute force is destruction. Zifra shot back, her psychic aura flaring. But the human may be right. Our conflict is amplifying the instability. Cooperation may be the only path forward. Alex stepped between them, raising their hands. This isn't about trust. It's about survival. If we don't try, we're all going to die here. The factions fell silent, their gazes locked in a battle of wills. Finally, the dragon leader spoke, his voice a reluctant growl. What do you need us to do? Alex exhaled, relief flooding through them. Both of you need to channel your energy into the core, but carefully. Instead of fighting against each other, try to align your frequencies. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Zifra tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing in thought. An intriguing analogy. Very well. The dragon leader rumbled in agreement, though his molten gaze remained wary. We will try. But if this fails, human, it will be on your head. Together, the two factions approached the edge of the chasm. Zifra's brood formed a protective circle around their queen, their sharp appendages clattering in a rhythmic symphony. The dragons unfurled their massive wings, their scales shimmering with molten light. Alex watched as Zifra and the dragon leader extended their energies toward the core. The air grew thick with power, vibrating with a frequency that resonated deep within Alex's chest. For a moment, the energies clashed, sparking violently in the air. Focus, Alex shouted. Match your frequencies. Zifra's glow dimmed as she adjusted her psychic output, her aura softening. The dragon leader growled low, his molten eyes narrowing as he shifted his energy flow. Slowly, the violent sparks subsided, replaced by a steady, harmonious hum. The core responded, its chaotic movements slowing as the swirling energy began to stabilize. The chasm's pulsing light grew steadier, its rhythm syncing with the combined efforts of the two species. It's working, Alex whispered, hope flickering in their chest. But then, a surge of energy erupted from the core, a final burst of resistance that sent shockwaves through the ground. Alex staggered, barely keeping their balance. It's not enough, Zifra cried, her psychic voice trembling with strain. Alex's mind raced. They couldn't let it end here. Not after everything they'd done to bring these two factions together. Desperation pushed them forward, toward the edge of the chasm. What are you doing, human? The dragon leader roared. Trust me, Alex shouted, their voice barely audible over the roar of the core. They reached the edge and plunged the multi-tool into the ground, activating its energy capacitor. The device whirred to life, emitting a low hum that matched the core's frequency. Alex felt the energy surge through them, a wave of heat and light that threatened to consume them. But they held on, their mind focused on one thought: balance. The core responded, its chaotic energy, aligning with the frequencies of the multi-tool, Zifra, and the Dragon Leader. The chasm's light stabilized, its pulsing rhythm steady and calm. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the core emitted a low, harmonious hum, its energy no longer violent but peaceful. Alex collapsed to their knees, their body trembling with exhaustion. They looked up to see Zifra and the Dragon Leader standing side by side, their gazes fixed on the now stabilized core. "You did it," Zifra said, her voice filled with quiet awe. "No," Alex replied, their voice hoarse. "We did it. Together." The factions exchanged uneasy glances, but the hostility in their eyes had softened. The first fragile threads of understanding had been woven, and though the path ahead would be difficult, it was a path nonetheless. As the group turned to leave the chasm, Alex felt a flicker of hope. They had bridged the divide between two warring species and saved a planet from destruction. But they also knew this was only the beginning. The real work, building trust, forging alliances, was still to come, and Alex would be there every step of the way. The end.